Assalamu alaikum everyone, I'm Nazma Khatun. I'm a psychotherapist and a marriage counsellor, and today I want to talk to you guys about one specific thing that I've noticed in marriages, in relationships that cause a lot of heartache, and couples can't seem to work out what's going on. And this specific interaction that happens, it's a kind of a way that we think about things, the way an attitude that we bring into the marriage that then affects the marriage. And I'm going to talk to you about that today. We are two people from two different worlds. It doesn't matter if you've known them for a while or not known them for a while, we're never going to be the same as another person. And it can range from anything from the way that we clean, to the way that we organise things, to the way that we want the day to function. We're all going to have specific ways that we do things, and then when the other person comes into our lives, they've got to gel into that. And what I find is that's the part that's most difficult at the beginning and even later on, but specifically in those first early years, is to really find a way on how do we put together two different ways of thinking about any specific thing. And what can happen is, if one person is stronger in their belief that the way that they think about something is right or wrong, then the other person who perhaps isn't as strong can get stomped down, okay? And it's the way that that is portrayed that can really harm the relationship. And what we're talking about is essentially criticism or even contempt, and that's what comes through. Imagine yourself and any other person, even to the way that we cook, or we go to the bathroom, or we brush our teeth, or the way we put on our clothes, or the way we choose to tidy things or organise things. Those are our daily things, and what happens is somebody else comes along and they do things differently. And what starts to happen is you start to see frustration and annoyance, and you're telling your partner, please do this way, like please get the tap fixed straight away, and the other person leaves it and leaves it and leaves it, and the more they leave it, the more annoyed you get. Why don't they get it done straight away? Why are they so lazy? Why do they like to leave things for so long? And you can't understand. And then the other partner is thinking, I'm so busy. What does it matter if it doesn't get done straight away? It's not the end of the world, it's only a broken tap. And you've got these real different philosophies coming in, and what you'll find is the couple are fighting about the philosophies but not really getting to the core of what's going on. And here is some of my tips on how do you resolve that, how do you resolve these differences. Number one is, if you bring in the attitude of certainty, of this is how it is and any other way is wrong, you're going to fail, okay? Because people live in different ways, people have different ideas about things, and you've also got to look at your judgment of that way of it being done. So for example, my judgment of the tap not being fixed straight away, or the other person's judgment of the tap wanting to be fixed straight away. Do I think of them, this contempt that comes in, do I think of them to be lazy or inadequate, or somebody who's not efficient, somebody who doesn't care about me, somebody who doesn't listen to me because they didn't get it done? What are those thoughts that come up in my mind when the thing that I believe should be done isn't done? Okay, so really think about it today when you go back into, something that you're struggling with, and ask yourself, what's the belief that I have about that? And the most hurtful one can be that my partner doesn't care about me. And if you come up with that, if you allow yourself to peel back some of the anger or the frustration or the blame of the other person, sit with yourself and ask, what is it in me that affects me, that makes me so emotional or so passionate that this thing is done this way? And do I believe that that's the only way it should be done? Because if you believe that, you're going to struggle, because people have lots of different ways of doing things. However, you're living with somebody and you do want to find a medium, and you do want the other person to try to understand some of your ways and some of the things that you want to do, because that's functional. We want functional marriages. And so having the conversation on the table, which is, hey, I asked you to do the tap. It's really important to me that it gets done straight away because I value efficiency, or because I have to get on and do things in the kitchen. But when you don't do it, I really feel like you don't care. You don't care about the things that are important to me. And it gives the opportunity for your partner to respond, to address that feeling, rather than you saying to them, "You're so lazy. I asked you last week, you've not done it. What kind of way is this of living?" And making it almost like a personal thing, like a personal character assassination about them, rather than focusing on your feelings and being able to express that. Now, this can happen with anything. It can happen, honestly, from things about cleaning. If you feel like something should be more clean and the other person's not as, how do you judge them? If you think that, we should leave early or leave late, if you think the house should be run this way or that way, any of these things that come up, you've got to do this formula. You've got to think about, what do I believe about that thing? Do I think that this is the absolute way of doing this? Does that mean that my partner's completely wrong? My wife or my husband is completely wrong for doing it a different way? Number two is, have I been able to express the feelings that I have about this? Like, why is this so important to me? Because what you'll find is couples that are able to discuss those emotions, be able to discuss what's really important, why that's valuable to them. Those are the ones that thrive, because then it doesn't become about the broken tap or the cleaning or the way that we function in the house. It becomes about caring about one another. Comes about understanding, and the more understanding that we have, the more we can accommodate and change and adapt. Because otherwise, if we're all thinking like, I'm thinking I'm right and he's thinking he's right, we're just at headlocks, and we never budge. And we feel more and more resentment because I don't feel like you've heard me, you understand me, you care about me. And the other person feels blamed and withdrawn and doesn't want to respond to you and thinks they're inadequate. And that's so important to think about. And this is the last part of this equation, which is that feeling of making, whether that we know that or don't know that, is making our partners feel like they're inadequate. That somehow that way of them being makes them less of a person. This contempt. If you're not this way, there's something wrong with you. You're broken in some way. And once it hits that, we don't want to communicate. We don't feel loved. We don't feel accepted. We feel judged. We feel criticised. We feel small. And that's not the way to have any change happen in a relationship. That's not the way to bring your partner on board and get you to understand where values and where you're coming from. It just pushes them away further and further. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you can, really look at, yourself and think about your beliefs around certain things, your structures. Can you have more compassion, more openness to alternate ways of doing things? Really feeling into your own emotions and realizing, actually, why am I so triggered by something not happening? And when I am, how do I respond? Do I respond in a really negative, angry way? Do I make my partner feel very small because they didn't put something away or didn't fix the tap when I told them to? You have to look within yourself, and the more that you can communicate that, the more those doors open and the more vulnerability that happens. And then you see those couples that, despite their differences, because they feel safe with one another and close to one another, and they know that their partner's not going to judge them, they're able to function really well despite the differences. I hope that was helpful. Jazakallah khairan for listening. If you found this helpful, please share this video, like and subscribe to my channel, and inshallah I will see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum.